On this episode, we are talking tryouts. Yes, it's that time of year again as we start to prepare for those dreaded tryouts. Wondering if you're going to make the varsity team or even get placed on the JV team. And also, we'll talk on, are you going to start or even play this year? Well, we're going to hit on all those topics in this episode, so sit back, pull out your listening ears. You're not going to want to miss this one.
This is the Dark Side of the Mask Podcast, a Goalies Matter production. This podcast will give you an inside look behind the mask, both the physical one worn by goalies and the emotional one we use to hide our burdens we carry. We'll address the issues affecting goalies' mental health and help you see the light. We want you to know that you are not alone in this fight. So let's fight this battle together.
Welcome to the Dark Side of the Mask. I'm your host, Coach Giggs, and today we are going to attack the biggest stressor facing young goalies today, and student athletes for that matter, and that's tryouts. That time of year again, folks. Time to prepare for those dreaded tryouts. Why are we stressing about tryouts? What is it about tryouts that make you panic and or nervous? But then there's something that is more fearful than physically trying out for these teams. I mean, there is one uncontrollable that you literally can't do anything about, and that's the word politics. We will get more into that a little bit later. I want to get into this topic as I'm sure many of you want to know how to overcome the stress or pressures or nervousness about the concept of tryouts. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's get after it. So, it's the spring. Everyone is getting ready. Everyone's all fired up. Everyone's got their equipment ready to go. Sticks are strung. They've been hopefully training over the off season, or maybe not. But the season is lurking, and we all start to get nervous because tryouts are right around the corner. Lacrosse tryouts, or any tryouts for that matter, gives us all a sense or a level of anxiety. Some even experience panic attacks because of just hearing the word tryouts. I have a lot of truthful answers that some of you may not like of what I have to say about these observations, but they're true. I associate tryouts similar to tests. I know when I was a kid, when I even heard of the word a test is lurking, I would get all nervous and freak out and frantically try to study, basically procrastinating, hoping that I could learn everything I know through osmosis. But as we all know, that doesn't exist. You can't just put a book underneath your head at night and expect to learn everything in a book. Just like in lacrosse, you can't just wake up tomorrow with a stick in your hand and know everything you need to know before tryouts begin. Anyways, there's always going to be a negative connotation with the words tests or tryouts. Like if we don't pass the test, we're considered not knowledgeable or not smart. And if we don't make tryouts, if we don't make the team, it tells us we may not be talented enough for this particular team. This way of thinking is what makes us anxious. Of course, you get a medical professional on here, and they will have some sort of fancy term to describe this feeling. I'm no medical professional, nor do I play one on TV. But at the end of the day, what makes us feel this way is the lack of confidence we have in ourselves due to improper preparation. Why do we feel so unprepared? Before y'all freak out and or have a panic attack just thinking about what I'm about to say, relax. And let me discuss the real truth behind tryouts. As usual, I have my top 10 lists of contributing factors that makes us stress in regards to tryout. So number one on my list of contributing factors is that we weren't prepared enough for tryouts. We haven't picked up a stick, got on the wall. We haven't stepped in the goal to see shots. We didn't do any additional training. We didn't play any additional lacrosse. We didn't join a club team. We didn't play in winter leagues or fall leagues. You literally played every other sport in the world, but you never picked up your stick to keep your skills sharp. That is our number one reason why we stress, is because we didn't play enough in the past year since the last season to prepare ourselves for what's about to come. Number two on my list is that your coaches, and you know this because we've been talking about this for some time, know little to nothing about goaltenders in general. We'll expand a little bit more about that later. Number 3 on my list of contributing factors, hotbed versus non-hotbed kids. Hotbed kids eat, sleep, breathe lacrosse, and play lacrosse year-round. And to them, Tryouts is just another day of playing lax and having fun. Non-hotbed kids, for the most part, lacrosse is a spring sport. We only worry about lacrosse when the time comes. Heaven forbid, we grab a stick in December, grab a stick in September, jump in cage for an hour, and see some shots. We'll worry about lacrosse when the time comes, or when our winter season ends. Number 4 on my list, seasonal kids versus year-round kids. So you get kids that will prepare for the season, maybe a couple months out. And then you have the year-round kids who may not play another sport, or they might, but they continue to play on a club team. And club teams love to practice whenever it's not the spring season. Club teams will practice once or 2 times a week all the way up to the spring season, and then no more club lacrosse until the season ends. And then they pick back up, and bam, you're in a tournament within a week. So you got the year-round kids, and you have to play with only the seasonal kids. So your team in those non-hotbed regions are made up of kids who only play for the season and kids who play all year round. Number 5 on my list, the stress is, how many kids is the coach actually going to plan on taking for varsity or for JV? More specifically, how many goalies will they take? I joke about that because in hotbed areas, they may have 3, 4, 5, 6 goalies who actually will have to try out, and they might take 2, maybe 3 for their varsity team, and the rest might go on JV. In the non-hotbed regions, you're lucky if you can get 1 or 2 goalies tops for both varsity and JV. And that's then another question. Who do you put where? We'll get into that as well. Number 6 on my list is trained versus the untrained goalies. Off-season workouts. Were you trained over the off-season, or were you untrained? And the untrained, those who never saw a goalie coach, they never got additional help, they didn't seek out instruction, they didn't seek out how to get better, how to improve their game. If you didn't do that, there's a good chance you may or may not make the team. And that can stress kids out. Number 7 on my list, worrying about playing time before tryouts even begin. Well, what if I make the team and I don't see the field? We'll talk about that, but that is something that's kind of in your control versus what you can't control. Get through tryouts, make the team, and then we can worry about playing time. Number 8 on my list of contributing factors of stress is the latest and greatest gear. You look around and you're like, I'm playing with like these old hand-me-downs from 6 years ago, 10 years ago that may or may not be certified to the local high school standards or youth standards or whatever, the NFHS standards, versus the kids who come in who may have been playing all year round and are playing with the most recent, most popular, newly updated modern equipment in the world. They got the new heads out there, the new string, the new mesh. They have a brand new strung stick with all the dyes and colors and whatnot, or the sweet new helmet with all the cool decals on it. Hopefully one with the Goalies Matter sticker on it. But anyways, they have all the cool new helmets, and you're playing with a helmet from like 10 years ago. That can stress a kid out because mom and dad can't afford the new stuff, so you're going to be playing with what they can make do. They can financially put together. That can also stress kids out. Number 9 on my list, and this can stress a lot of kids out, weather. Yes, weather. Some play better in the warmer conditions, and cold conditions can definitely affect their play in the pipes. Yes, we know this. We know this, especially us northern folk and some on the eastern seaboard, right? You don't always get the greatest weather in spring. Michigan spring, if we're lucky, is maybe 45 degrees and sunny. That's a great day. It's always cold, but you can't just always play in warm weather conditions. You have to learn and play in all seasons, and the weather can freak you out. Hey, coach, I played really great in the summer. When it's 80-some, 90 degrees on the turf and humid out, I play much better. Well, that's great. Well, it's Michigan spring, or it's, spring weather of 35 degrees and a cool breeze going on. You're going to have to learn to play between the pipes, being a little bit chilly. And then last but not least, getting lit up and or hit with the ball will stress a lot of goalies out when it comes to tryouts. Why? Well, I can tell you that because when you go into tryouts, go back to some of the earlier comments I made, you may have kids that play all year round who know how to shoot and where to shoot on goaltenders. Then you get the seasonal kids who don't pick up a stick, who don't learn to improve their shooting accuracy. They just crease crank all day long, and they hit you square in the noggin probably 6 times in a tryout, and next thing you know, you're walking off with a concussion and may or may not be able to get back in the goal. And now you're worried every time you step in between the pipes, one of your teammates is going to take out your head with a ball or hit you somewhere where the sun don't shine, and it's going to hurt because they're not trained. Again, more of the reasons I mentioned above that stress kids out. I am sure there are many more factors that can stress kids out when it comes to the tryouts. But those are the top 10 that I have determined over my years of experience in 26 years of coaching lacrosse, goalies specifically, and what I've heard through stories, through my own students. Now let's talk about the controllables, okay? There are some things that you can control, and there's things you can't control. And these are what affect your anxiety or your calmness or your levels of comfortability as when it pertains to tryouts. So you can talk to any coach, and a good coach will tell you it doesn't cost anything to put in intensity, effort, frequency, time, attitude. Those cost nothing. Those are all things that you can control. You can control how intense you play, how intense you are at practice, how intense you are during tryouts. You can put in, we don't ask a lot to put in 100% effort. You don't have to train for effort. It's how hard you want to work. How frequently are you picking up your stick? That is something in your control. If you choose to pick it up one time a year, and that's only during the spring season for lacrosse, good chance you may or may not make that team. But if you pick that stick up at least 2 or 3 times a week throughout the year, you'll be pretty comfortable and pretty confident going into tryouts that you can pass, catch, shoot, pick up a ground ball, or as a goalie, stop shots because you see it all day long. You see it every single week. You know what to expect. How much time you put in. You can control that. Do you put in a half hour every single day? Do you put in an hour in a week? Do you put in 6 hours a week? You determine the time you want to put out there because the time that you put in is the result that you will get in the end. If you put in 2 to 3 hours a week of training, of practice, you're going to go wherever you want to go. Maybe more hours than that. You might go where you want to go. If you only give a half hour a week, you'll go where a half hour a week will get you. So what you put in is what you get out. And last but not least is attitude. It costs nothing to change an attitude. If you can remain positive, uplifting, always forthgoing, supportive, it doesn't cost anything. That's free. That's something that you can control. If you control a good attitude, you'll go far in life. They say that all the time, and it's so true. Maintain a good attitude, positive attitude, supportive attitude. More coaches will like you, bosses will like you, and you'll go far in life. Another thing that you can control, and I kind of talked about that in that last statement, is how and when you train or you practice. I see students all the time. I have regulars that I see on a weekly basis throughout the entire year. And that alone will give kids confidence when it comes tryout time. I've been telling my kids the last few weeks, hey, tryouts are right around the corner. But we've been training since September or August or July. And when tryouts come next week, it's just like another day, except I'm not shooting on them. Their peers are going to be shooting on them. So it's just another day. So how you practice and when you train, right? Do you practice every week, every other week? Do you train every other week? Do you see a coach every other week? Do you see a coach every week? When do you train? Do you train? I mean, if you're like in football season, maybe you don't get the opportunity to train. But if winter you don't play a sport, that's maybe you start picking up your goalie stick, you jump in the cage, and you start getting people to shoot on you. Or maybe you join a winter league, and you start seeing kind of game-like realistic shots, depending on where you're at. These are all things that you can control. Other things that you can control. Making good choices. Using that big brain of yours. Don't allow in-season coaches tell you what you can and cannot do. Example, if you're playing hockey or football, and you have a coach that say, hey, you can't play lacrosse while we're in season. Okay. Well, do they own your life? Do they own your life? Are you 24/7 football or 24/7 basketball, wrestling, cheerleading, volleyball? Are you 24/7? Pretty sure you're not. Pretty sure you're not. Pretty sure you can find an hour a day to get on a wall, or an hour a day to work on ground ball techniques if you're a field player. As a goalie, get on a wall. Throw a ball up against the wall. Find a buddy from your team and have them take shots on you for an hour. Get with the goalie coach. It's 1 hour a week. Again, you're not in that in-season sport 24/7. This is not college yet. I understand academics. I understand family life. But all we're asking is 1 hour a week. When I work with my students, it's 1 hour a week. What's 1 hour out of your day? Out of 1 week. Get with somebody, get on a wall, see some shots, and the more you keep your stick in your hand, the more comfortable you will be when tryouts come around. But don't allow a coach to tell you you can't play a different sport. Obviously, yes, your sport does come first. I got that, right? In hockey, when I played hockey, Sundays were always an off day. We would have games on Friday night or Saturday night. Sunday, we never had hockey. So, great opportunity. Get on a wall, have somebody shoot on you for an hour, 2 hours on a Sunday. Doesn't take a lot of time out of the day, and work on your skills. Keep seeing shots. Keep working on your skills. That's the only way to get better, is keep your skills sharp, is by continuing to keep your stick in your hand. So don't allow a coach to say you can't play your primary sport in the off season, or in their in season, I should say. Another controllable is if your coach sets the tone early in the school year, maintain that open communication with them whenever you see them. I had a coach in high school who had a players meeting almost the first week of school. It was a 30-minute meeting to set the tone for the remainder of the year. This is how we're going to work. This is how we're going to function. If you're dedicated enough, you're going to do X, Y, and Z. If you are in season sport comes first, and you'll join us when you can, which would be a Sunday or morning before school. If not, you will get with us as soon as your season is over and continue to keep working your skills. I swear, once a month, our coach would come into the high school just to check up on the kids. He would get with the dean. Hey, do any of my players have any disciplinary actions? If they did, he would bring it up with the student, with the player. If they didn't, he was hoping for a clean sheet, and if he had a clean sheet, that looked good. He knew his boys were doing great things. He would get with the principal and find out if anybody had to come to the principal's office for whatever reason, or go with the guidance counselors. Are my students or players struggling? Could be mentally, or it could be with academics or anything like that. But he was in tune to his players, right? You'd see him in the hallway, and you'd say, "Hi, coach, what's up?" He might pull you off to the side for a 2-minute conversation just to see how things are going. But that just showed you he cared. Good coaches who care about their players will take that extra step to see them. If you see your coach, say hello. Have a conversation with them. Ask him how his day is going, or her day is going, for that matter. So always keep those lines of communication open with your coach. You can also control what you say and how you communicate things to players and to your teammates. Okay? Those things can make a big difference. If you go into tryouts and don't say a word, then 1, you look shy. 2, you look nervous. 3, you might look uncomfortable. The more you open up, and we preach that at Goalies Matter, is to be a voice, stand up for yourself, because you need to be out there and you need to be communicating, and you are a natural leader, and you need to help those who are just as nervous as you are in tryouts. Speak up and invite them into a conversation. Say, "Hey, bud, how's things going? Never met you. Hi, my name is Jason. What's your name?" "Oh, my name is Brad." Hey, nice to meet you, Brad. How are things going? You enjoying tryouts? This is your first time out? I've never seen you before. "No, I just transferred in." "Oh, cool. Well, welcome to the school. Welcome to the program. This is going to be awesome. If you have any questions, let me know." You open your mouth. You communicate. You take charge, and you lead a conversation. You invite people into your conversation. You invite them into the team. Whether you're on the team or not, you're a goalie. Your natural ability should be talking. As a teacher, I used to say this all the time to my players. I said, "Look, I teach during the day. I see you guys talking all the time. I've told you guys to stop talking during my class or in the hallway sometimes because you're being too loud. But then they get out of the field and they don't talk at all. I go, this is bullshit. I go, you guys talk all day long, but yet you can't talk on the field to one another? What's wrong with you guys? You guys have the same things in common. You guys both play lacrosse. Open your mouth. Communicate. Be inviting. Be welcoming. Okay? The last thing, and there's a lot of things that you can control, but I just wanted to hit on some big topics. And the last one I have here is you control your responses and how you react to adversity and the unknown. In other words, what actually happens during tryouts. If you do get through tryouts and you see that you're not on the varsity list, but you're on the JV list, at least you made a list, right? You can't be so negative in everything. I understand coaches don't know what they're doing when it comes to goaltending or who they're picking for goaltending. And we're going to talk about that here shortly, okay? But it's how you respond and how you react. You can save your frustrations to when you get home. I'm not saying hide them. I'm not saying bottle them up. I'm not saying just perception is everything, okay? Keep that in mind. If a coach sees you lose your marbles because you didn't make a list, or if you start firing back and I'm like, Coach, I don't understand why you cut me and why you put me on JV, blah, blah, blah. No, we're not going to do that. You're going to be like, okay, I accept where you assigned me. All right, I understand that. I can see that. But is it possible to talk and ask for feedback? That's all you got to do. Ask for feedback as to what can I do to get on the varsity team if you got cut and you got put on the JV team? Because there should be some feedback. Oh, boy. We have an episode coming in the future about correct feedback, good feedback, bad feedback, and feedback that will drive any coach nuts because it's not accurate. But you control your responses and how you react to what happens in tryouts. You cannot like a drill. That's fine. You control whether you stay in the drill or not. If you have kids that crease crank during tryouts, get the hell out of the cage. Walk away and do something different. Don't give attitude and be like, I ain't doing this drill. They're just crease cranking all day. I get that. I've been there. Trust me, I have. But you don't need to accept that. Go do something different so it looks like you're doing something productive. If you're in the goal and there's no defense and they're doing crease cranks from 5-6 yards off the crease, number one, crease cranks don't really happen in the college game or the pro game, so I don't know why they're crease cranking. Number two, crease cranks never really work in the first place. Three, they're intended to injure the goalie. And four, if they're doing that, then they don't trust their shot if they have to take it from 5 to 6 yards out. Get out of the goal. Go do something more productive, like walk the line, work on clearing passes, work on a ground ball, work on juggling, do something, hand-eye coordination, do agility, footwork drills on the sideline. So it looks like you're doing something more productive than just standing in there and getting cranked in the head by a bunch of kids who have no idea how to shoot the ball. And those kids are probably the seasonal kids and not your year-round kids because they don't know what they're doing. They're just crease cranking for no reason because it looks cool for some strange reason. So, yes, can it frustrate you? But you can control your reaction. So step out of the goal, take a deep breath, and do something more productive. And remind coach maybe after practice, hey, coach, I didn't like the fact that you had these players crease cranking on the crease with no defense in front of me. That is a big boy or big girl conversation that you need to have with the coach. It's called growth. It's called maturity. So those are some controllables that you have control over as a goaltender. Uncontrollables. Let's talk about uncontrollables for a little bit, okay? Controllables are things that you personally can take care of and that you're in control. We just talked about that. Uncontrollables are things that you can't control. They're out of your wheelhouse. There's nothing that you can do about uncontrollables. However, some of the things you can influence, right? But you can't make the other person or make the situation better, right? You can talk about, like, you can't control the weather, right? It's going to happen. You just have to learn to control your response. Like, you can be like, yeah, this sucks, but you know what? Why not? Let's embrace it. Let's have fun. You can change your attitude about the weather. You just can't control the weather. So let's talk about some uncontrollables, okay? Number one I have is knowing that you can't actually pick the team. When you're dealing with tryouts, you can't pick the team. You're not the one picking the team. Coach is picking the team. You can't control who he selects and who he puts on varsity and who he puts on JV, who's starting and who's not, but you can influence them. Yes, you can, based on your performance. And performance stems from what you do out of season. It's a trickle-down effect. The more you work outside of the season, the more work you put in, then your performance is going to stand out. It's going to show. It's going to shine. Coach is going to see it. and he'll make the decision that he makes or she makes. You also can't control how the players around you perform or shoot. We just kind of talked about that. But you can influence them. You're like, how can you influence players shooting? You can tell them that real good players don't shoot at goalies. They shoot for corners. They shoot for inside pipes. They shoot low and away. Kids don't like shooting low and away because it's not cool enough. It's not upper 90s. It's not top cheddar. They don't want to shoot low and away. It's too easy to score down there. I don't give a shit. A goal's a goal. And if you're looking for goals, shoot low and away. Hardest shot for a goalie to save. Telling you right now, and you know this if your goalie's listening, but kids love shooting top cheddar. I can tell you that right now. And if they try hitting you in the face, you tell them, shoot and hit corners, hit low and away. If you want to score, you're not scoring by hitting me in the face. You're not scoring by hitting me in the chest. You're not scoring by hitting me in the abdomen. Hit the fucking corners. That pisses me off. But you can influence them. You can help. You can have a conversation with them, right? Also by stepping out of the crease. That's something you can control, and that will influence them to be like, okay, you want me in the goal? Stop shooting and aiming for me. Step out of the cage. What you can control or influence is being positive about the players around you, right? Help them out. If they're struggling with picking up a ground ball or they're struggling with shooting properly, you can be like, hey, man, your form's a little off. You may want to work on your form a little bit. You know, make sure you step with the front foot, follow through, things like that. If you can help them, help them. You can't make them do it, but you can definitely provide them some instruction or some feedback to help them out the best that you can. That's something you can control. You'll never control what they do, though. Third thing on my list is you can't control other players' effort in off-season, preseason, or in-season. You can't control that. If you want your team to succeed, right, you can't make kids play club. You can't make kids try out for a club team. You can't make kids play all year round with you. You can't make kids, you can't make them come out and shoot on you. But you can tell them that if by coming out and shooting on you and giving you reps, they're actually working on their own game at the same time. They come out and work with you and say, hey, you know what? Why don't we get Brian and Jim, who are both defenders, to come out with Justin and Joe, and those guys are offensive players. Now you could do some 2-on-2 or some 1-on-1s. Now you have defense working on 1-on-1s. You have offense working on 1-on-1s. You're working on seeing realistic situations happening in front of you. All you had to do was ask them to help you with your game by asking them to shoot and stick around for defense in the offseason. Doesn't take long. You can influence them. You can ask them. But again, you can't make them do that. And that's also very hard. These are all, again, if you want your team to succeed, you want a good team, these are things that you can help influence, but again, you can't control. You also can't control others' reactions or responses to drills during tryouts or when you make a big save on them. That's the best one. You might make a huge save on the doorstep, right? You may get a few people that lose their marbles. Oh my God, that was an amazing save. Good job. Hell yeah. But the kid who just got stuffed, you don't know what he's going to respond with. He may put his head down. He may sulk, or he may lose his shit. Like, oh, come on, man. I'm like, that's bullshit, right? Because he's going to get crap from his teammates or future teammates. But you know what? You run over there and you influence him and you tell him, hey, you know what? It's going to be better next time. Because by you stuffing him or her, it's going to make them work harder. It's going to make them say, all right, that didn't work. I'm going to have to try something different next time to beat you. And by doing that, you're challenging them to take a better shot. And if you challenge them to take a better shot and they score that next shot, that makes a bigger difference for your team. And in the end, you'll find some success. So when you want that kid to score next time, he now knows what he needs to do and what not to do like he did before. I mean, at the end of the day, you want your players to score goals, but don't make it easy for them because you can't control that. You can't control how they respond or how they react, especially when you make the big save, which I still love. You can't control, and this is my final one. Well, I got one more. It's called my number one uncontrollable. You can't control the fact that your coaches, we talked about this, probably know little to nothing about goalies. And here's the thing. They're never going to. They'll never know what to look for in a goaltender. They never will. Let's be real. They just don't. They don't take the initiative to learn about goalies. And again, we're talking about, if you've been following along in these podcasts, you would know that I'm talking about the 90% of coaches in America that know little to nothing about goaltenders. I'm talking about them. The ones who don't take the initiative to learn about the position. The ones who don't take the initiative to look out and find resources up on social media as they're doom scrolling through their own Instagram accounts and social media accounts. They don't tend to look up goalie drills or look up just goalie training in general. I'm talking about them. They'll never know, nor will they ever want to get to understanding about goalies. They're going to pick their goalies solely off those who save the most shots. That's 100% truth. They're going to take the goalies who stopped the most amount of shots in the tryouts. Not who trained with a goalie coach or who makes cooler saves. Just, did you keep the ball out of the goal? That's all they give a shit about. Again, you could be goalie A with the number one defense up against the second, third, fourth string offense, and you stopped every one of their shots, and you crushed it. You crushed it. The starting goalie B, who was with the team before, goes in there. You've trained with the goalie coach for 3 years now. You know what you're doing. You go in there with the third string defense and the starting offense, and you get lit up because all their shots were on the crease. Coach didn't see that. Coach just saw that you gave up more shots than the other guy did. So I'm going to take goalie A, and he's going to be my starter. And since we don't have enough goalies, goalie B, I hate to tell you this, you're going down to JV. But the goalie who made varsity, he's a sophomore. The goalie's going down to JV, he's a junior. Because you need to learn some more because you didn't stop enough shots. So you're going down to play JV. Is that fair? Fuck no. But it's the truth. That's what's going to happen. That's reality. Last but not least, and I'm still wondering if I want to make a whole topic on this one. My final, uncontrollable, and no one will understand this one. Politics. Fucking politics. It is everywhere in America. I don't mean government politics. I mean athletic politics. I can't explain it, but I can tell you it plays a major factor in a lot of coaches across all sports, in all schools in the United States. It is the biggest bullshit I have ever experienced as a coach, which also makes a lot of coaches quit coaching high school or quit coaching altogether. I was told by the AD that so-and-so, had this happen to them, and their dad was, came down and filed a complaint and is threatening to do this, and we're going to throw a lawsuit down. All this. Why? Because I'm just trying to coach? I said this before. Parents need to learn to be a parent. Support and be a cheerleader. Put your fucking pocketbooks away. I don't care about your money. Kids are going to play on this field. Playing time is earned. It is not given. It is earned. Playing time is earned. Your starting role is earned. The amount of time you play is earned. It's not just given away like it's a present. I can't deal with it. My lacrosse coach in high school, as much as some of us wanted to hate him, he played fairly. He played by the books. He didn't let a single parent influence him in their kids' playing time whatsoever. They could have given us $15,000, $20,000 for new uniforms or jerseys or shooting shirts or team warm-ups or whatever else kids want these days. He didn't care. You can donate all you want, but your kid is not playing any more than anybody else's. Kids are going to earn their playing time on this field. And that's how coaches should be approached. Parents, be supportive. Be a cheerleader. Remain positive. And your kid will have his moment in the sun. But it's not going to come through a pocketbook. It's not going to come through complaints. It's not going to come through lawsuits. Playing time is earned. Now, we're talking to high school and youth is a whole nother topic. College is a whole nother, there's no tryouts there. I'm not talking about college kids. That's a whole nother topic for a different day. And that's for real. But politics, I'm not going to go much more into it. It does play a factor into tryouts. I wish it didn't, but it does. That's it. That's all I have for uncontrollables. And there's nothing you can do to control that. And nothing. And the worst thing about politics is you can't make sense of it. You'll never make sense of it. You could have done everything in your power to make the team. You've done everything in your power to train as hard as you want to. But you know what? If something was to influence the coach, it was politics. Something that nobody sees on the backside, behind closed doors, hands under the table, and that's why some decisions are just make no sense. Politics. And that's it. Now, these are all things that can cause a insurmountable amount of stress for a goaltender or a student athlete or any player for that matter, for any sport. So how can we overcome this? How can we see the light? The first is to understand that everyone has to experience tryouts, first of all. Whether you are a returning player or not, you are still competing for your spot. Get used to it. Because when you get to college, there is no team, there's no tryouts. They don't cut you, but they make you continue to try out for your position. That's the intrinsic motivation that you have at the collegiate level. You're on the team, but how much playing time do you want? If you want to maintain your position, whether you're third string, fourth string, second string, first string, you have to compete for it. Because when you come in, there's going to be somebody else coming in right behind you who's going to compete for your spot. At the high school level, continue to compete. Continue to compete regardless. Okay? Again, regardless if you're a returner or not, continue to compete. That's the only way to get through tryouts. And if you continue to compete and challenge yourself, that will only make you better. And here's another thing, and I've said this before. Don't put down your stick. Don't ever put down your stick. I don't care if it's your primary sport or your third sport or a fourth sport. Don't put down your stick. You need to keep your skills sharp. Get with the goalie coach. If you want to see the light, if you want to feel more comfortable and less anxious and less nervous going into tryouts, just keep your skills sharp. Keep your stick in your hand in the off season. Have somebody take shots on you. The more shots you see, the more you practice, the more confident you become, resulting in minimal nerves. It's okay to be nervous going into tryouts, but the anxiety ramps up if you don't feel comfortable and confident in your game. So continue to keep plugging along, keep the skills sharp. Mind setting is another way to help you get over the anxiety and the nervousness. Don't go in nervous or anxious unless you actually haven't practiced since last spring, but go in with a positive attitude. Tell yourself that you have worked hard to get to this point. This is your time to show your coaches and your teammates what you're made of. This is what I tell my students all the time. I say, you've been training since freaking August. Show off your sweet skills. Show coach why you're amazing so they can make a good decision. Influence them by your performance. Get excited for hey, you finally get somebody else to shoot on you besides this goalie coach over here, this old ass goalie coach. So keep somebody shooting at you. Keep working. Keep a positive attitude, right? The more fired up you are don't be nervous. Be fired up for tryouts. Get excited for tryouts. It should be an exciting time, not a nervous time. It's not like a test. Know that when your coaches make selections, okay, they're simply going off who makes the most saves. I just said that a little while ago, okay? You can be a great kid, a great person, a great goalie, right, on off the field, right? And again, we'll talk about this in a recruiting thing later on in another episode about recruiting, about it's more about the player than it is about the stat line. It's the truth. Unfortunately, at least in the non-hotbed regions, I can tell you this, it's going to be more about the numbers, which is the unfortunate truth. As long as you know that, then do what you can to make more saves. And that comes back down to the controllables we talked about earlier. Getting more reps out of season. Train with a goalie coach if you can. Get with players to shoot on you in the off season. Maybe join a club team if you choose to, right? Those kinds of things where you can keep your skills sharp is what's going to give you the confidence. We keep talking about that because if you want to improve your save percentage, you want to improve the shots that you stop, see more shots. A goalie that sees 4,000 reps between September and March will probably make more saves in tryouts than a kid who sees 300 shots between September and March. See more shots. Remember, you control you, and what you do determines your value and your ability during tryouts. Meditate, breathe, find a rhythm, develop a pre-practice routine or a ritual that helps you get more into the zone, a comfortable zone, a comfortability zone. The more comfortable you are, the easier tryouts will be, the more relaxed you'll be. Don't go in all pent up with stress and anxiety and anger or frustrations. Go in with an open mind. Be free of all the negativity. When you step on that field, it's a field of passion, of excitement, of what you love to do. It's fun. That's why we play lacrosse. Here's some advice. Stop competing against other goalies. Compete against your own goals. Instead of trying to play better than the other goalies, set goals of your own to compete against. 10 saves in practice, maybe 7 successful clears. Set a quantitative number. Just don't wait till the last minute to think about tryouts. If you are playing a winter sport, keep spring lacrosse in the windshield and don't take your eyes off of the upcoming season. But if you're doing everything that we mentioned already, you shouldn't have a problem and you will be ready to go. But know this, at the end of the day, you could probably tell yourself that you absolutely killed it during tryouts and you felt that and you were probably the best player on the field and in goal among the other goalies. But sometimes there are some uncontrollables that we can't do anything about. Politics will become a factor in making selections and to include who starts and what team you get put on. We always hope that shit never happens, but it's high school, and unfortunately it does. Maybe more in the non-hotbed regions than the hotbed regions, but it does. It's the unfortunate truth. All right. The tryout process can be brutal and confusing at times, but it shouldn't be. It's how you show up. Be an animal out there. Dominate your prey. And don't forget this, to go out there and just have fun. Because we're not here for a long time. We're here for a good time. Good luck out there. Get fired up and let's go. Thank you. We're out.